Ah! A crack. A rustle. Something heavy slams into the dust. The attic falls silent in an instant. Only a strange buzzing, like the lights gone out but still ringing in your ears. Alex lies motionless, pinned under an old rug in a box labeled SMAS 1997. For a few seconds, he doesn't move. Then he slowly props himself up on one elbow, looks around, coughs. His mouth is full of dust, his vision foggy. Nearby, scattered among the junk, something glints. Small, rectangular, framed. A photograph. He reaches for it, wipes the edge with his sleeve. Black and white. A man in military uniform. The face is familiar, Grandpa. But something's off. On the shoulder, a patch Alex has never seen. Not from the U.S. Army. Grandpa's eyes, stern, almost cold. His stance, rigid, like someone under oath. And in the background, people. Blurred. One of them seems to be holding a child. What the? Alex whispers. He glances around, silence. Only the old lantern flickers above. The attic is still again. But different now. The photo clenched in his hand, too tight, fingers turning white. Alex, his father calls from downstairs. You okay? Yeah, he croaks. Just slipped. I'm good. Good, a lie. Nothing's good. Because this photo, it shouldn't exist. Grandpa never served. That's what he said. That's what everyone knew. Alex grew up with that. All those dinners, the stories, the conversations, Grandpa always stayed silent about the war. Because he wasn't in it. And now, the uniform. The people. A foreign place. He slips the photo into his pocket, grabs the box, and climbs down. His father stands in the hallway, holding a mug of coffee. His gaze is focused. What were you doing up there? Looking for old lights. We tossed them last year. Right. A pause. His father's eyes drift over him, pausing on his chest, where a corner of the frame peeks out from under his hoodie. But he says nothing. All right, he finally says. Wash up. Lunch is getting cold. Alex walks to the bathroom. Shuts the door. Turns on the tap. Pulls the photo back out. Now he looks closer. In the corner, handwriting. In German. He can't read it, but he recognizes a date, 1946. A year after the war. Another look at Grandpa, standing among ruins, something like a barrack behind him. The child in the man's arms, barefoot. Alex's heart beats faster. The photo's damp from his fingers. He wipes it on his jeans, tucks it back into his pocket. He won't tell his father. Not because he's scared. But because something about this photo demands silence. Silence, and a deeper search. The screen glows in the dark like the only source of truth in a world of shadows. Alex sits on his bed, curled under a blanket, laptop on his knees. Everyone's asleep. Not him. His fingers fire off search after search, his eyes sharp and burning. American military uniforms post-World War II. U.S. Intelligence Operations Germany 1946. Unidentified Units Europe 1946 Civilian Operations. Hundreds of pages. Similar uniforms, but not quite the same. Finally, one archival photo. That same patch. The same cold stare. Caption, Special Civilian Operations Group, Bavaria, 1946. Beside it, a list of names. One stands out, Robert H. Willis. Grandpa, Robert Henry Willis. Alex feels something shift inside him. His heart beat louder than the keys under his fingers. He rereads. Again. The group was linked to defragmentation of civilian resistance. What does that even mean? Paper rustles in the silence, he pulls out old family documents. In his grandfather's school form, the section marked military service is blank. Just a dash. By morning, Alex is quiet. He sits at the table with his parents, stirring coffee with a spoon. You're up early, his father notes, casually. Didn't sleep, Alex replies. Something on your mind? No. Still thinking about the attic? Alex looks up. Dad. Grandpa said he never served. Is that true? A pause. His father looks away. Then shakes his head. Don't start, Alex. It's just a question. I said, don't start. Why? Because there's nothing good to find there. I asked once too. Got nothing. And I was better off for it. But he's our grandpa. We should know who he was. His father raises his voice. Your grandfather was a good man. Period. Don't go digging through old archives or starting some fantasy. He lived an honest life, raised us, raised you. Isn't that enough? What if he lied? Shut up, Alex. His mother flinches. The room goes cold, though the heat's still on. Alex doesn't reply. He gets up and walks away. Doesn't say another word. But his father's last line rings in his ears. Shut up, Alex. And it doesn't sound like anger. It sounds like fear. Searching, Special Civilian Operations Group doesn't turn up much. Article after article, either blank, deleted, or redirected. But on one forum, Alex finds a comment. If you're looking into unofficial U.S. operations in post-war Europe, talk to Julia Shelby. She knows. He messages her. No expectations. Just, hi, I'm Alex. I've got a question about a 1946 photo. She replies within an hour. Send the photo. And whatever you know. He hesitates. Then sends it. A day later, a new message. This is interesting. Can we meet? A downtown cafe. Fogged up windows, rain outside. Julia, mid-30s, short coat, all business. Her laptop's already open on the table. This isn't just a military uniform, she says, looking at the photo. It's SOG, Special Operations Group. But not the regular kind. This was a unit that officially didn't exist. What do you mean? Deep cover. They did cleanups, eliminations, relocated undesirables. After the war, the U.S. had its hands in a lot of post-war Europe. Not everything was clean. Alex says nothing. Your grandfather was part of one of those groups. Bavaria, Soviet influence zone. I've seen similar photos, but not this one. You're sure? The uniform, the location, the timeline. It matches. But most of those files are still classified. She pulls up a file. A spreadsheet. A list of names. Next to some, access restricted. Others, listed as missing. Why is it still classified? Because things happened we're still ashamed of. And not just us. Alex feels a chill inside. So my grandfather was, who? Julia meets his eyes. I don't know. Maybe a savior. Maybe a killer. Maybe someone just following orders. His fists tighten. How do I find out? You need access to the files marked 47A. But that takes clearance. Or, connections. All I've got is this photo. And that might be enough, if you know where to look. Alex stares out the window. Rain trickles down in thin lines. One question pulses in his mind. Who were you, Grandpa? Alex can't hold back anymore. Evening. Quiet around the dinner table. His father reads the paper, his mother chops vegetables in the kitchen. Alex blurts out. "Dad, what was Grandpa's name before he got married?" His father looks up. The lines on his forehead deepen. "What? Did he ever change his name?" "Not this again," his father says, voice turning hard. "Don't you think it's strange there's only one photo of him in uniform? That's enough. He was in special operations. I talked to a historian. His name is in the archives." "Shut it. He lived under another name. In Bavaria. After the war." His father throws down the paper. Stands up. Walks over, face tight. "One more word and I—" "What? Hit me?" For a moment, silence. The tension is thick enough to cut. His father exhales. Steps back. "I don't know anything. And I don't want to know. But he was your father. And he did everything to make sure I never asked. I respected that. That doesn't bother you? What if he turns out to be someone we never really knew?" In the doorway, Grandma appears. Leaning on the frame. Eyes red. "I once heard him speak German," she says quietly. "On the phone. I thought I imagined it, but—" She falls silent. Turns away. Walks off. His mother keeps chopping, eyes on the board, not the knife. "Some people spend their whole lives learning to stay silent," she says. "Because silence is how they survived." Alex returns to Julia. She's already waiting with news. "I found a list of people detained during Operation Storm 47. Your grandfather is listed among the agents. He wasn't alone. There were 6. The supposed victims, mostly civilians suspected of Soviet ties. Were they all killed?" "Officially, yes. And unofficially?" She hesitates, then shows him a document. "One of them survived. Went into hiding in Argentina. Was identified 20 years ago. Then disappeared again. You know his name? Joseph Meinz. From Austria. He was meant to be transported with the others, something went wrong. Your grandfather was listed as escort responsible." Alex rubs his temples. "If he's alive, he might know something. Maybe. Or maybe he stayed silent for the same reason your family has. I have to find him. And if you don't like what he has to say, I'm not afraid of the truth anymore." He walks out. Silence trails behind him, the same kind that filled his house. Silence is an answer too. But Alex wants a different one. The train is late. Rain drums against the windows. Alex sits inside, holding a handwritten note from Julia, just an address, scrawled quickly. A small Hungarian town near the Austrian border. Not much to go on. He lives alone. No family. If you find him, listen. Don't argue. When he arrives, the town feels lifeless. Only one cab driver agrees to take him up into the woods. The road is narrow and quiet. An old stone house. Forest. Nothing else. Alex knocks. Once. Twice. An old man opens. Short, trembling hands. Eyes, pale, piercing. You're American. My name is Alex. I'm Robert Willis's grandson. Pause. The old man's face changes. Not fear, not anger. Just surprise. You have a phone? Yes. Turn it off. But. Off. Leave it in the car. Then come in. Inside, silence. No electricity. Just light from the window. The man sits across from him, quiet for a long time. Your grandfather, he saved me. Alex swallows. But not as a soldier, the man adds. As a human being. As someone who could have done nothing, but chose to act. Risked everything. You're Joseph Mintz. Yes. You knew him. 3 days. All 3, between life and death. He was supposed to take us out, but instead, he forged papers. Hid us. 1 died. 3 survived. I'm one of them. But he was listed, as part of the operation. Everyone was listed. They didn't separate. They just wrote, completed. What really happened, only a few knew. Why did you stay silent? Because the world doesn't want to hear that one of the executioners might have been a rescuer. It's inconvenient. It breaks myths. And I'm done with myths. Alex says nothing. He has more questions than answers. But the words hang heavy. And this truth weighs more than any archive. He returns to the city, exhausted, but steadier. He messages Julia. No reply. 1 day. 2. Finally, a message. I was called in. Official. They asked who I was working with. Where the photo came from. Told me to stop digging. Alex clenches his phone. Wants to scream. Did they threaten you? Not directly. But I understood. What will you do? For now, nothing. Don't reply to this message. Alex understands, now he's alone. No one to trust. Nowhere to run. And worst of all, even in his own family, the shadows are growing darker. His grandfather wasn't a hero. But he wasn't a monster either. He was in between. And now, so is Alex. He receives the letter in a faded yellow envelope. No return address. Just initials, J.S. The handwriting, blocky, careful. Inside, a typed copy of a letter dated 1946. The paper yellowed, ink smudged. At the top, 47A. Not for distribution. Alex holds it like a relic. In the event of failure, R.W. assumes full responsibility. His identity will serve as the operational cover. Actual actions will not be recorded, only external report filed. Then, a note about evacuation of civilian group from Bavaria to Austrian border. It all lines up. What Joseph said. What Julia suspected. His grandfather hadn't just followed orders. He'd knowingly stepped in as the face of an operation officially labeled unclean. But why? Alex messages Julia again, no response. He digs deeper. On the forum where he first found her name, there's another old post. Info on 47A, Buenos Aires. Try Juan Moreno. He was there. The name rings faintly. Alex tries anyway. A day later, a reply. Moreno's alive. Semi-retired translator. Agrees to a video call. The screen loads. A weathered face appears. Tired eyes, but he smiles when he sees the photo of Robert. Yes, Robert. I remember. He was different from the others. You worked with him? No. I was a civilian interpreter. Temporarily attached to their unit. I only saw him for a few days. You knew about Operation 47A? I did. And I knew how it ended. Robert took the blame. But, not everything was as clean as it seems. Alex leans closer. What do you mean? Moreno sighs. I heard that one of the officers working with Robert used the operation as cover to eliminate undesirables. People meant to be transported, not all of them made it. Was Robert part of that? No one knows. He never spoke. But he was searching for something. One time I saw him with an envelope. It said, internal. 47A, confidential. You know what was in it? No. But no one ever saw that envelope again. Alex clenches his jaw. The file existed. But its contents, gone. Could anyone else know? If a copy exists, it's in the Reichenau archives. But no one's allowed in. Not even researchers. Why not? Because opening them means admitting Operation 47A was never what they claimed it to be. Alex closes the laptop. He's closer to the answer than ever. But now he's not sure he wants it. Julia calls at 3 in the morning. Her voice is quiet, strained. Alex. I can't do this anymore. They called me in again. This time, with names. Yours was one of them. They threatened you. Not directly. But they made it clear, the past is best left alone. They know about the letter. And Moreno. I don't even know how. What are you going to do? A pause. Then, a breath. I'm going silent. I'm already under scrutiny. One more step, and I'm in serious trouble. And so are you. Alex says nothing. His heart pounds like a hammer. But we're so close. And what if the cost is too high? And what if silence costs even more? At home, things are worse. His mother meets his eyes with a look of fear, exhaustion, and anger all rolled into one. You were digging again? Yes. There won't be anyone left to pull you out if you go too deep. You all say Grandpa was a good man. Then why doesn't anyone want to know who he really was? Because we lived with him. And we saw what he did after. Not during. And what was that? She sits. Stares at the floor. He couldn't sleep. He'd pace the hallway at night, silently. His hands shook. Once I found him in the basement, sitting on the floor, holding something. I asked what it was. He said, it's something you should never see. Alex stays quiet. He carried something. All his life. And if you think you'll find something that explains it, you're wrong. There won't be answers. Only more shadows. But the answer doesn't come from his mother. His grandmother knocks on his door late at night. Everyone's asleep. She carries an old box. He left this. Said he'd burn it. But he didn't. Inside, a worn notebook. The cover cracked, pages yellowed and curled. What is it? His notebook. But, you'll see. Alex opens it. At first glance, chaos. Random dates. Disjointed phrases. English mixed with German. Short sentences. Sketches. Arrows. Words like, gray children, entry/exit, rage equals shame, not all arrived. A cipher. She shrugs. He never spoke of it. But he kept it close. A small victory. A paper key to a locked door. But the door stays shut. And the code, still unreadable. Alex sits with it until morning, flipping through page after page. His grandfather wasn't just a soldier. And not just a quiet old man. He was someone who left a message, but no explanation. Julia returns unexpectedly. The message is short. We can meet. I figured, it's too late anyway. She arrives in the evening, without her usual folders. Just a backpack and a laptop. Alex greets her silently. They sit on the floor, beside the box that holds the notebook. You sure about this? No. But I knew I'd end up here. Either we go through this together, or not at all. She opens the laptop, scanning page after page. Next to her, an old dictionary, a few books on wartime ciphers. They work for hours. Finally, a breakthrough. These aren't just notes, she says. They're letters. To someone. Maybe himself. Maybe someone who never got to read them. Page by page, the story unfolds. His grandfather writes of a group of children, 8 in total. All orphans. All held in a temporary camp. Their families had been accused of ties to Soviet partisans. Officially, they were to be deported. Unofficially, eliminated. And he, Alex starts. Forged the documents, Julia finishes. Signed off as responsible for the removal. But in reality, smuggled them out. One by one. But it gets more complex. Another letter mentions a name, Major Hart. An officer who turned order into vengeance. He gave the command, leave no witnesses. He executed the children's parents himself. And your grandfather, Julia stops again. Couldn't stop him, Alex says. In the journal, one line stands out, I could save, not punish. Because punishment was legal. Another, they thought I was with them. I was, on the outside. But never inside. Alex feels the floor vanish beneath him. He wasn't a hero, he whispers. But he wasn't a monster, Julia replies. He carried their sins, so someone could survive. A final entry, I didn't save the world. I just couldn't be a killer. The table is covered in papers. Codes, fragments, translations. But between the lines, something more. Wait. Stillness. Moral gravity. Alex lifts his grandfather's photo. It's no longer the face of a hero or spy. It's the face of someone who lived in compromise. Who chose not to do evil, but couldn't stop it either. There won't be a beautiful truth, he says. But there will be truth, Julia answers quietly. And that is already something. The email comes at dawn. Subject, confidential. The sender, anonymous. But the attached file speaks volumes, transcription_interview_RW_CIA_1949. PDF. Alex opens it. His heart pounds like it's trying to escape his chest. An interrogation. Date, March 1949. Location, Vienna, a sealed CIA facility. All names are redacted, except one, Robert Willis. Agent Willis, did you assist in the transport of individuals classified as threats? I admit no wrongdoing. It's known you deliberately withheld information from command. I acted according to conscience. Were you protecting criminals? I was protecting children. The rest, pages of silence. Answers short, or absent. Final note, subject likely acted independently. Motivations appear to be moral in nature. Case recommended for closure to avoid public incident. Alex reads it again. And again. And each time, the line, I was protecting children, echoes louder than any verdict. The day of Robert Willis's memorial. The family gathers at home. The table is set. Mashed potatoes, roast turkey, gravy. Everything he loved. His father is quiet. His mother holds it together, though her eyes are wet. Grandma sits but doesn't eat. In the corner, a framed photo of Robert. The same one from the attic. Alex wanted to say something, his mother says suddenly. All eyes turn to him. Spoons pause mid-air. He stands. Palms sweating. A storm in his chest. In front of him, a family that doesn't want to hear more than they already know. And inside, his grandfather's voice. Silence isn't always betrayal. But sometimes, it's fear. Alex pulls a folded paper from his pocket. Notes he wrote all night. Then he tears it in half. Speaks without it. I don't know who my grandfather was. Maybe no one does. Not even him. Tension. His father lowers his eyes. Grandma smiles softly. But I do know this, he wasn't a hero, and he wasn't a villain. He was a man who made choices. And those choices weren't always clear. But he was never indifferent. Silence. Heavy and full. I don't have the truth. But I have respect. Because sometimes truth isn't about answers. It's about seeing someone's pain, and not looking away. After dinner, Alex stays behind. He walks to the photo. Sets the interrogation transcript beside it. You stayed silent, he whispers. And I will too. But not out of fear. Out of respect. And before the final act, silence. In that silence, something louder than any answer. Rain. Steady, calm, washing everything clean outside the window. In the living room, warm lamplight fills the silence. The family sits quietly. The table's been cleared. Dishes put away. Only one thing remains, the moment everyone's been dreading. Alex, his mother says, if you still want to speak. He nods. Stands. In his hand, a torn notebook page, pulled from his grandfather's journal. The lines uneven, ink faded. But the meaning is sharp. Alex doesn't read aloud. He speaks in his own words. But every sentence is shaped by what his grandfather left behind. He wasn't a hero, Alex says. He didn't save the world. He didn't lead armies. He just couldn't kill. And he couldn't look away. And he lived with that. No one looks away now. Even those who didn't want to hear are listening. He didn't have a noble biography. No grand speeches. But he made a choice few would have the courage to make. He did what he could. And carried the weight of it. Quietly. Without applause. Grandma sniffles. His father says nothing, but his jaw tightens. I don't want us to remember him as a soldier. Or as a silent man. I want us to remember that he was human. And that's enough. More than enough to be proud of. Silence. Then Grandma, without looking up, says softly. He was proud of you. He just didn't know how to show it. Alex nods. Walks to the table. There, the same photo he once pulled from the dust. He picks it up carefully. Walks to the wall. Takes down a dull landscape print. Replaces it. Grandpa. In uniform. That stern gaze. Now, not in a box. But in the light. Among family. He'll stay here. Not as a symbol of war. But as a memory of choice. And of human decency. And now, you. You, who made it to this moment. Maybe there's silence in your family too. Things unsaid. Photos no one explains. Glances with more story than any book. This story isn't just about Alex and his grandfather. It's about all of us. Because every family has someone who stayed silent. And someone who chose to ask. Not every truth will make you happy. But every truth will make you honest. And closer. So ask. Look someone in the eye. Open the old box. And maybe, just maybe, you'll find more than a story. Maybe you'll find yourself.